everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those that are new here, my name is Megan. I talk about everything Salesforce related. I talk about tech, and I also talk about career growth. In my previous video, we talked about Salesforce study resources available to you. Now we're actually going to be getting to the studying portion of it. So a lot of people ask me, what are the best ways to study? How can I apply my studying? I'm studying, but it's not really connecting. So for this video specifically, I've created study tips for you to be able to utilize during your Salesforce journey. So would love for you to be able to try them out, apply them, and see how they work for you. For those that are new here, go ahead and subscribe if you are interested in everything Salesforce tech and career growth. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave it in the comment section and I'll go ahead and get to it. So let's go ahead and get started. So prior to working with Salesforce, I worked with UC Berkeley, and a lot of that really entailed getting students admitted into the program. But in order to be admitted into the program, they had to have a lot of prerequisites. What I did a lot of was resume review. Helping them pass the GRE was also helping them pass the TOEFL, because a lot of these prerequisites were required in order to get into the university. So in order to advise those students, I would get a lot of questions of, how do I study for the TOEFL? I don't know how to study anymore. It's been years since I've been in school. And those were all very common questions. And I myself didn't know right off the bat from beginning, but I had to learn over time how to be able to advise the students. And what I learned from that was the principles of effective studying. And there's going to be two separate areas, which I'm going to break down right here. The first area of studying is effective studying. So that means that you're not rushing, you're not just memorizing, let's say on a note card. And then the second area is not cramming yourself either. A lot of people just say, okay, I'm going to study, I'm going to get this over with. That's not essentially the right way to do it. If you can do it, great for you, but that's not going to make it stick, which you really need in the Salesforce world. So this is an example of what you don't want to do. I'm going to be answering questions through Focus on Force. It's the best way to be able to show you. In this case, I'm basically just reading the first question. I read it once. I kind of just read it because I want to answer it. I'm not really understanding and comprehending and sinking in the material. An example of not actively learning and not retaining the information. So I want to show you guys an example of what active learning would essentially be. And as a Salesforce professional moving forward, I really need to make sure that I'm retaining the information. Same thing for a doctor. You don't want them to just guess what you have when you go into your local pharmacy or when you go into a patient first, for example. Now, as a Salesforce professional, I really want to be able to make sure that information is ingrained. So that's when active learning comes into place. That means having the material be engraved, making sure that when I test myself on the material, it's actually sticking to me. So that is what active learning is. It's making sure that you're retesting and you're retesting that knowledge. It doesn't mean cram. It means just retest yourself, ask yourself what it is, and then make sure when you get asked that you can answer it. Another great idea for active learning is learning the material yourself and then teaching it. I was told in my college days, when you are being taught something, if you can teach it to somebody else, that means you actually retain the information. So that's what active learning is, making sure that you're retaining it, making sure that you're applying it correctly, and making sure that you're able to explain it. So go ahead and try it yourself. Go through whatever test material that you may be studying from and just ask yourself, what is a record? What is an object? What is a field? What is a lead, for example? You understand what it is, but how would you explain it to somebody else? So there you guys have it. That is what active learning is. Let's go ahead and hop to studying tip number 2. The second study tip that I have for you is make sure that you're not cramming your material. I have never seen success in a student that has absolutely crammed the material into 1-2 weeks. You're not essentially learning the material you did. And if you have those few students that are great at memorizing things, you're still not going to be able to apply it in the real world. So again, just like a doctor, you don't want them just memorizing what you may have because it sounds relevant to the cold that you may come in with. You want to make sure that you're able to give the best advice to your client or the business that you're working with at that time period. In order to do that, when you're studying and you have different topics, for example, let's pick on the admin test. I might want to know what dashboards and reports are, but I need to see what I do know and then what I don't know. And then you can break it down from what you don't know and then go into further detail from there. So you can already be an expert on what you do know, but you're taking the time to actually learn what you don't know. And then the third area I would suggest is actually looking into any updates that this section you may not know about has. There's a lot of great resources to just find further information or just using external links. So guys, make sure not to cram, make sure to take your time when you're learning this material. That will ensure that you can successfully pass. So here's how I personally studied for the Salesforce exam. I broke it down into two sections, one for the broader concepts and then one for the easier ones. And the easier ones I mean in terms of like fields and what a record is and the page layout, things that I could understand right off the bat versus the more broader and complex ones, which are like automations, for example. So what I wanted to show you guys and share with you all was what type of resources I use to be able to retain that information and what I could take on the go. All right, everybody, so this is one section that I particularly showed in my previous video. So we're actually going to re-show it again because I think it's a brilliant idea on how to be able to actively learn and also see the areas that you need to tackle versus the ones that are doing okay. So Focus on Force does a really terrific job at actually color coding. So if you are a color coder already, this is a perfect fit for you. So the second resource that I really do like learning if I'm learning more broader concepts and something that I need to go into more detail with is actually using Notion. Now, Notion is free for one person. Otherwise, it does cost. You can download it on your phone. You can have it on your Mac. You can have it on any type of like device that you use. I personally use it for my Mac. Now, what I specifically do like about using with Notion is that I can create certain sections. So as you see here, I have the admin section that is titled like Admin Exam 201, and then I can break it down. It's essentially like using a Word document, but it's broken down into how you want it to be. You can choose the background, you can choose the little logo and this. So it's just a place where you know that you can go to save your notes, to use them. So if you are looking for a different type of platform to use and just kind of take on the go, or maybe read on the treadmill, whatever the case may be, this is a terrific option for you. So now that you understand how to study for the more broader concept, let's go ahead and move into the keywords, the smaller sections. So what I did and found really successful, especially on the go, was actually creating note cards. So whether you use Quizlet, whether you use your iPad, you're more of a techie person, or I just simply went old school and I actually wrote all of the keywords on a note card. But those are really easy ways and convenient ways to be able to learn the material for the smaller keywords a little bit better. So I do suggest that if you're more of a visual person and you like taking it out on the go, to be able to really soak that material in for about 15-20 minutes a day, I definitely suggest using that. Hey, that's all I have for you today. I hope that these two tips for studying really do help you. Let me know in the comment section if you have any other ideas or maybe what you use and you can help others. So for the next video, we're going to be talking about you passed your certification. Now what? Where do we go from there? And here's where we're actually going to start getting into the career building, your personal branding, and then job searching as well. And the last piece that I ultimately want to leave you with is as you grow, make sure that you start constructing not only the resources that you use, but how you study as well. Pass those on to other people. That is exactly what Salesforce is about. That's why I'm doing these videos. Want to be able to share what made me successful for you to become successful as well. So again, hope everybody enjoyed this video. Looking forward to hearing from you guys and hope to see you guys soon. Take care.